Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. As you can see, I have with me Mr. Sree Iyer from PGURUS. Sir, thank you so much for joining me today, and I wanted to, understand your perspective on how India can actually build up its own value chain abroad, its own narrative abroad. This is a gap that all of us know exists, but how can we do it?
Adi, one of the things that India does not do is, as a policy, India doesn't believe in lobbying. Unfortunately for India, its adversaries are doing it all the time. China has a vice-like grip on all the senators and congressmen and everybody that matters in White House. I mean, everybody understands that United States is a place where you need to have your viewpoints, your thoughts in. And in this, in fact, even Pakistan has stolen a march over India. They are rumored to be having about 400 lobbying firms. Only recently, India has started using lobbying firms, two or three, not much. So, whatever India's support comes, it is from people such as myself, NRIs who are very, we have our love for our motherland, and we want to really do good by them, especially when so many lies are peddled. We want to see how much we can push back and tell people the truth as it is. The CAA, the anti-CAA resolutions, that was one thing. Then this caste discrimination now, or trying to sanction India for a false narrative that was written by a Pakistani American as part of the USC IRF. I mean, I can go on. The last couple of years I've been really busy where I've been trying to fight a lot of these things with facts and figures and data. Certainly, Rajiv Malhotra ji has been at the very front here. He has taken the brunt of the attack, and he has also done a lot of work. So there is work in progress. But like you said in your preamble or in your opening statement, that it is people doing it in their individual capacity. As a country, India has been slow to understand how much the decks are stacked against it, and that's where the challenge comes. Now you also have proxy wars being set off. China wants something bad done, it goes and asks one of its poodle countries to go and do it against India. So India doesn't go take aim at China. Instead, it goes and barks at the poodle country. You know who I'm talking about, right?
That's, I mean, the key baseline to the discussion. I think you brought it out very interestingly. Uh, I want to kind of stick to the West for a little bit before we switch over to China. So the current, I would call it the financial standoff which is taking place with Adani and the Hindenburg Group. Uh, I mean, Hindenburg's history is not hidden to anyone. What they did with Twitter and this and that is not hidden at all. Everybody knows what's happening. The susceptibility of an attack like that and the lack of a means to retaliate creates a very negative narrative. And there are articles coming out saying that uh, India needs to strengthen up its economic sector, and clarity and disparity and all sorts of English words will be used properly to put out that particular message. How do you see this game when you're at the receiving end and then you're defending actually?
Yes, indeed. What India does is it has made it easy for the money to come in, like foreign investment. It is a little bit difficult for it to go out. That's where it puts all their checks and balances in. As to how to kind of get ahead of the narrative, you should look at how Israel has been doing it. So it doesn't matter. I mean, India doesn't have to discover this. India can look at what Israel has done. I'll give you a simple example. Last year, Adi, there was a resolution in the House that passed denying a small amount of grant to Israel. I think it was in tens of $1 million. It's not a big amount, okay? But the point was that it was spearheaded by Ilhan Omar, and Israel had either denied or told Ilhan Omar that you will be constantly under watch if you come visit Israel. So she wanted to show off that I can, stick it to you, okay? So they passed a resolution, a surprise resolution that passed. And this was because somehow the progressives lined up all the Democrats and made the resolution to pass so that it will deny, United States was going to deny like $30 million, somewhere in that ballpark, of aid on a particular project for Israel. You know what happened, Adi? Within 24 hours, a new bill was drafted and put to vote, and that overturned the previous resolution. It was so fast. Israel had its people in both houses, I mean, both parties, and they worked 24 hours. The thing was completely turned. And then you know what happened? AOC starts crying because the resolution failed this time. I mean, these people, some of these immature imbeciles, that's the only way, that's a very kind way of describing some of the congresswomen in my country. Immature imbeciles. They will put any kind of theatrics to make it look like they are, being victimized, playing victim, and victimhood is way too much. I mean, Ilan Omar gets booted out of Intel Committee or Foreign Affairs Committee, and AOC comes and puts on a show. Rasida Tlaib one octave higher. I mean, what's done is done. There is no point screaming out. Why they are doing all this? Because they want trying to go back to their flock of audience and say that, look, we know what is happening. You should also look at it. This is how we are being treated. All sorts of falsehoods. Now, the takeaway for India from that one lesson is, how do you build relationships with every congressman, every senator, and perhaps even with White House, so that there are sometimes you can test the waters, if you will. Like, for example, hey, listen, we're going to line up UCC, population control, and this thing, citizens. What do you call that thing? ERC or whatever, NRC, National Registry of Citizens. We're going to line it up. If you 1, 2, 3, in 3 days we're going to do it. Okay. We know there will be opposition, but we just want to sound you because this is the logical thing to do. And these are the challenges we have. And show the numbers. For the last 10 years, how much illegal immigration has happened, how much illegal voting has happened, how much this, that. You can make these numbers. It's not very difficult. India has excellent statistics. And say, we have to stop this. And you tell them, but at the same time you say, well, we may do this thing, or you have some kind of deniability, and then move. Then what happens is, the reaction to that, if these guys go on running and say, oh, look what India has done, you have to censor it, the congressman would say, so what did they do wrong? These are the data they shared with me. That part, that critical portion, that data is not being shared, is actually being used against us. I'll give you another example, Adi. The current House leader, Kevin McCarthy, an Indian American, went to him and said, Kevin, you need to really, it's not true. You get all the government briefings. It's not true. India is not discriminating. If anything, India is actually pampering the minorities even more. You know this, right? He said, yeah. Then why are you just, going on and playing with the other side? He said, this is the first time anyone has come to me and complained about the other side, about CARE, about IIMC, about this, about that. Do you know how many times they come? They come once a week, and they come bearing gifts. He said this. So the other challenge is, Indian Americans, I don't understand why this is. They will go pay 2,000, write a check for a dinner with the senator or the local congressman, $2,000 a plate. Husband and wife go, $4,000, nicely attired, sari, coat, Modi jacket, whatever it is. Go take a picture, nice picture, and then frame it in their house, living room or something like that. That's not what it is. That's the beginning. You have to make that $4,000 work for you. And you give half now, half later. That's how things work. See, this is what I'm saying. I'm really sad that, we are very happy just having our pictures taken with some important people. That takes you nowhere, nothing. It's just that feeling of rush in front of your friends that, oh, look who I am. I got this guy I took a picture with. In fact, even Narendra Modi had a dinner session in US when he was visiting, where you had to pay so much per plate, and you lined up. And every family would come, take their picture, walk down one side, take the picture, walk out the other side, and they were, sending emails about, here it is, your picture, and so on and so forth. So it's important that you have to go beyond the optics. This is for Indian Americans who are spending a lot of money these days, getting active politically. You need to make sure that your money that you're donating to your favorite congressman or senator works for you.
Bang for the buck, as they say, sir.
Yes, yes.
That's, I think, of course, see, India has this, thought process, and to a large extent, I also subscribe to it, that the narrative must be the truth and the reality. Uh, many within India also say that propaganda chalane mein, what is the issue? Why can't we just, you know, put out information with uh, the factor that I want to ask you, sir, is that when you spin narratives, it's much easier, much faster. You can keep spinning it around. But the truth takes a long time for it to get settled in and understood because it's raw facts. How does one deal with that with somebody who's probably never even seen or understood India?
Israel is surrounded by enemy countries, right? Every third day, they are planning some kind of an attack or the other with every other country. And most of the time, they will, not most of the time, all the time, they will let America and sometimes even United Kingdom know that this is the cause and this is going to be the effect. India doesn't tell that cause. Of course, Article 370 abrogation, maybe I can say that amount of secrecy was needed. But if you are trying to clean house by saying, hey, I want everybody to enjoy the rights equally, UCC. I want everybody to understand that growing in a planned way is better than unplanned growth, population control. I want to make sure that the real citizens of India get the benefits that they are going to uh, be enjoying in the years and months to come. We want to have a well defined populace, that is NRC. Nobody is going to object. What happened was in CAA, the objection came because it was very easy for the other side to establish, oh, look, they want everybody except Muslims. Therefore, they are discriminating against Muslims. You see what I'm saying? In one, two, three, they have done the thing. And then somebody took some of these Muslim women on. In fact, they were always putting Muslim women as their speak persons or speaker persons. And one time he said, look, you're not reading it correctly. It is only for people who are not in India. It doesn't affect the Muslims. And this person is rant. Oh no, it's just a precursor. They're going to bring NRC. They're going to this. I mean, she doesn't let the other person even say a word. And again, our upbringing, right? Courtesy. Don't cross a woman. And you just patiently hear the whole diatribe. And then after 10 minutes, the person is actually taking a breath. Then you say, no, you are wrong about it. But imagine how many people have gotten brainwashed through this 10-minute process. It is wrong. You see, as much as discrimination against women is wrong, it's also wrong when they try to exploit the same thing. It's not right. You stay with the facts, you stay with data, and you make your case. So these things have happened far too many times. And I think that needs to be curtailed. And the only way out, Adi, there's no other way I can think of, is to effectively lobby to kind of, float the rainbow, float the thing and see how things work. I'm thinking of doing this because of this, and people will accept it. US does a lot of things where they test market it, they call it, they get a sample, they'll go sample 5,000 people. We are thinking of doing XYZ and see how the reaction is. And that 5,000 people they'll gauge how the country is going to react. And then they either move or don't move. And
Lot of
India, go ahead.
no, please, sir, please.
No, what I'm saying is India has this problem that despite all its challenges around it, it has done a much better fist of governing itself than all the other sisters who got wrenched out of it, whether it is Bangladesh or
Mm,
Sri
mm.
Lanka or Burma or Pakistan or even Afghanistan, right? We have relatively come out of it, in fairly good shape. And that happened because the steel frame, that is the IIS, was able to do something. Although it is shaking right now, in my opinion, uh, the others also had the benefit of that steel frame. What did they do with it? That's the question.
Big one indeed, sir. The problem happens, sir, and I'm going to be the devil's advocate in this game, is because when you look at the current talk which George Soros gave, um, I think everybody's spoken about it and what his motives are and this and that. What his motives are understood and what he's trying to do is understood. We have to be resilient is understood. I think that's a point which is completely taken. What do we do when a person like George Soros also has his fingers within senators and congressmen, and not just in the US? I mean, we know of money being given to Joe Biden's midterm re-election. There's
No,
money
he's
being
the
given.
biggest contributor. He's the biggest contributor to the Democratic Party. $100 million
Yeah,
every year or something to that effect. A lot of money is being thrown
yeah,
around.
yeah, yeah.
He is doing that, and so all the more reason where you have to effectively educate your audience, your congressmen and senators. They're saying that this is the data, and you tell them you are welcome to come take a look at it. India has been pretty clean, otherwise they wouldn't even be getting all these fake narratives. And again, see, this is where law and order has to really shape up. Some of the regional parties run states are doing a really bad job. DMK, CPIM, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh. They don't even register FIR many times when it is against somebody who is their vote bank. Understand this, vote bank politics. Samajwadi Party was like that. That is why they got booted out. I won't say they got voted out. You see, so you can't wait 5 years to come back and assert themselves. It has to be done then and there. And this is a screw that I'm sure will be tightened significantly once Modi comes back in 2024 with an equal or better majority. The first thing he'll do is crack the whip and, in fact, dismiss a few governments and say, you guys have screwed up law and order. You take the case of that army serving
Mhm.
soldier who got killed, stoned to death, or beaten to death in Krishnagiri district in Tamil Nadu. What has the chief minister done?
Nothing, yeah. That's the problem, that the divisiveness and the fault lines within India also provide the opportunity to do a whole lot of these nefarious activities. And I firmly believe, I keep saying this in my channels, and I firmly believe all this stuff is also engineered for us Indians to actually keep on getting stuck in this internal game all the time, so that we don't, kind of focus on the larger things that are happening
Raise
around
our
us.
head up and look around. Yes,
So
absolutely, absolutely.
I personally find the domestic politics to be that there are issues created every day. There is not a single day without a conspiracy theory or or something which has gone haywire somewhere, or somebody said something or the other, to create that narrative of disbalance, to create that narrative of non-synergetical existence within India. Now, that's the whole thing. How do we kind of, make everybody understand? Because see, what happens in the US with regards to domestic politics, it's written off. It's domestic politics, finished. But what happens within India in terms of domestic politics is not written off, because we ourselves are so engrossed in it that we just let it overpower us. How do you look at that? That to me is the biggest challenge, sir.
Adi, the challenge, the reason this is so bad in India, especially the domestic politics also starts leaking outside, is because look at the leadership. Most of the regional parties are now second generation leaders who are actually, their only qualification is they happen to be the son or daughter of a so and so who was a self made politician, right? So they really don't have leadership skills. They did not grow from the ground up. I'll give you an example. Mulayam Singh Yadav, he was a wrestler, Pelwan. Okay. And when he's in his early days, when he used to campaign on a bicycle. That's how he got the symbol bicycle. But bicycles used to be stolen. So when he used to go to sleep, you know what he used to do? He would take the bicycle, climb up a tree, put the bicycle there, and then come down and sleep on the charpai or wherever he was. Because he was sure that the bicycle wouldn't be stolen if it is up there. right? So that, see, people remember that, hey, this guy cycle chacha or something like that. But what has Akhilesh got to say for himself? Nothing, right? So they are always jante ho mera baap kaun hai, that attitude. And therefore there is leadership deficit, leadership vacuum even in some places. So they have to resort to all these things. They are listening to all these people and say, okay, I'm getting some more easy money as long as I just keep throwing some mud and seeing if something sticks. And once it sticks, then go back and make a big hullabulla about it, especially DMK, which has captured the media also. Therefore it gets amplified. Adi, you would be amazed to know in 2019 when Modi came roaring back. Okay, DMK captured the entire Tamil Nadu except one seat. O Pannirselvam's son won, Ravindranath. Other than that, they DMK swept the table. And the day after the results were announced, Modi's come back roaring. And a reporter, English media reporter, asks a girl who's coming out of a convent. It's a Stella Mary's College or Queen Mary's College. They're one of those two really, high-end colleges in Chennai. And he asked one girl, "So who did you vote for?" Because that she was a first-time voter, and she said, "I voted for MK Stalin." And he said, "Why?" Because he was not even in power at state. Because Modi is bad, no? Those are the words. I mean, she had no other explanation. How is Modi bad? This guy is asking, how is Modi bad? No, 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 no. He's really bad. You see any TV, for the last 5 years, they've been saying how many bad things Modi has done. This is the kind of narrative that was set in Chennai, in Tamil Nadu, by DMK. It's one place where he'll find it difficult to get votes, I can tell you. They may have to even underplay him and let Annamalai take a chance at being the face of BJP in Tamil Nadu.
Yeah, I mean, there's that's what I'm saying. So this whole domestic politic narrative, which gets so engrossing within people, and they kind of believe any damn thing that comes out of this thing, unknowing the fact, the history of all the connections which actually lie behind hidden curtains. That's actually the biggest challenge that I see, because the narrative, as we are very emotional people, you know, so sorry, we are very emotional people, so we get charged up really hard. Um,
You know, every third video of mine, I always say that take the emotion out of it. That's why sometimes I present contrarian viewpoints on my channel. I say this person said all this, and this person is going to give you the exact opposite. Listen to the
yes,
strength of the arguments, and then you decide which one is right. Don't decide emotionally that this is what is right. I'm really trying to bring about a change in people's approach to things, critical thinking, process of critical thinking. I'm
absolutely.
trying
So
to do this thing. Yeah.
absolutely, it's the battle of narratives at the end of it. It's
Yes.
the battle of the
Yes.
minds that
Yes.
you're fighting today.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
Yes. Yes.
so, I want to also touch upon a little bit of uh, this thing as we grow. You know, it's not that we are going to be welcomed, because what is today happening is the hyphenation of India and China as a narrative. It was India Pakistan before, right?
Hey,
And
we've come a long way. We are hyphenated with the right bigger guy now.
yeah, so now the hyphenation has two aspects to it. One, you're also showcasing, okay, this is a growing power. China is pretty much number two in the world. This is a growing power which is going to give competition to China. Uh, there's also a second narrative to this, is because now today's China growth is going to be squeezed. Uh, Multiple reasons, aggressiveness of China, there's that and the other. But they've also learned that if a country becomes too powerful, then it's difficult to control it. So India,
That's
on its way towards this growth, will face these challenges going forward, and that will be a systemic challenge actually.
Yes and no. Yes, that the bigger established players are going to try and put impediments in your way, but the thing that has India going for it is its demographic dividend, its age. It's one of the youngest nations. See, what happens is, like today, the average age of United States is 37. India is 27, and China, I think, is in 34 or 35. Japan is 40. Belgium is 42. Okay, so as these countries age, they're not getting replenishment. So a lot of things are going to break down. For instance, the social security system in the United States, not many people will be able to pay into the system, so that people will be able to get it. See, what we paid through our working years, excuse me, you may want to edit this part. What we went through during our working years. So it's a pyramid, right? The guy on the top retires and he gets money from the lower guys. The money rises up and they claim social security benefits. Social security is like our pension, government job pension, except that it is available for everyone. And also, but what is available is whatever you put, your employer will match the same amount, and then that becomes like a nest egg that you can draw down after you retire. This is the concept of social security. May not be enough to live on, but it gives you a good cushion. That look at it that way, right? So if fewer people get into the workforce, at some point this will completely collapse, right? For that, what they need is they need to be able to rely on India to like have like a treaty which says that you have worker program wherein they come for 2 3 years, work in United States. They may not need to get green cards and other things. You may want to do it on a case by case basis, but it's a flow that's guaranteed, because you need to have that pyramid restored at the very bottom. You see what I'm saying? And the countries that figure this out properly, they will need India. So on the one side, you can say that, oh, I resent that this guy has become big. On the other side, you need them to come do some of the jobs that you will not be able to do it yourself. There are just not that many hands around. This is the reason why Europe opened their gates for immigration. But the thing is, they got people with no skill set. Instead, if India had gotten a work agreement with EU saying that this is the work permit, 2 years, 3 years, this is the skill set you require. You can, have an office where you come in and interview people. You can place them. You can give them some sort of a EU ID card that you can monitor whichever country in Europe he goes to, and you have everything on to know. And this person, by the way, is well educated, so he will help you, right? So they didn't want to do that, and I don't know who told them what, but clearly, country after country made the same mistake. If even one country had done it right, that would have been like a path for others to follow. But everybody did it wrong. Amazing. I don't know how that can happen. But see, this is the thing. But the sooner some of the established countries realize this, the faster India will grow, but the bonds will become stronger, and all these noises will go away. Soros will just get blown away. Nothing will happen after that. In fact, I think India is at that point now. India may be at that point now, because NSA came, quietly met for a few days. Usually, you don't meet for a few days. You meet one or two people, like his counterpart Jake Sullivan. But he was there for a few days in the United States. So clearly, a lot of things have been discussed. We have to wait and see how this plays out. But see, the other thing that India is showing, why size matters. When you go and place an order for 500 aircraft, half to Airbus industry in Europe and half to Boeing, everybody wakes up, oh my God, this is going to create so many jobs, right? Then the next thing people will say is, why am I not selling so many Tesla cars? Elon Musk will start wondering. That's the thing. Because 2 days after Air India did, Indigo did the same thing.
Mhm.
Right? So this impresses the heck out of people. These guys are now grown big. Why is this possible today? I have to tell you a small secret. I've said this in another show. Modi introduced a program called Udan scheme. Udan, UDAAN. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, yeah. I stay in
So
a
what?
small city,
Yeah,
so
right. So you are probably a direct beneficiary of that.
I use it every time I
Yeah,
travel. I use it.
you use it, right? See, this is the thing. Initially, it may have not paid for anything, but it kept the airlines industry interested, because they were getting a 50% discount, and slowly but steadily, the clientele has built up. I flew to Belgaum. It was a full flight from Hyderabad, Aadi, on
Yeah.
a weekday. Yeah, and I flew back from Hubli. See, here is the interesting thing. I needed to get back in the morning to Coimbatore. So Coimbatore, Hyderabad, Belgaum. On the way back, I drive from Belgaum to Hubli, 60 minutes or something like that, 1 hour, 1.5 hours. Fly from Hubli to Bengaluru back to Coimbatore,
Yeah,
and I'm back in Coimbatore by afternoon.
it's amazing, sir. These small sector flights and all that stuff
Yeah,
is created a it's a revolution, honestly. I mean, the city I
so
stay
so
in, it
right.
was one flight. That's it. Now they have about 9, 10 of them.
Right, right, right. See, suddenly there's an industry growing up there. There are things happening. People don't feel like, oh, I have to drive 5 hours to get. Even 5 hours is a long time. Now, Bengaluru to Mysore, they are thinking of making it like 2 hours or something like that.
It's
And
opened
and
already,
that,
sir.
yeah.
It's
So it's
open.
on par with flying, right? Because by the time you fly in, fly out, Bengaluru airport is like, one corner of the universe.
Indeed. So
So
that's something which you're bringing out interestingly, that the innate internal growth itself will create a lot of opportunities for the world to
yes,
look out for and kind of see what to do with it. So my last question to you, of course, is going to be about the system, right? There is a system which is set up in the West for the past so many years. The system favored Pakistan. The system favored China, and we still see with all the talks of decoupling. Yeah, well, there's some industry which has moved out, which needed to on its own, but U.S. China trade is at all time high even now. So
yes.
Europe is pretty much saying no, no, no. We can't decouple with China at the moment. Olaf Scholz said it, and you had the French president giving up the same responses. Of course, Britishers are going to be doing what the Americans are doing, but at the end of it, there is that system which is set up. Now here is a third country which is trying to, for the lack of a better word, infiltrate that system and create its own beachhead and kind of spread after that. Now that system will resist because these systems don't like changes. There is a certain this thing. Of course, Pakistan is down the tube. There's no question about that. But if you look at it, the China factor of it, the Chinese are well entrenched. They've got their money going everywhere. They've got this and that and the other happening all over the place. How does India actually manage that system? And you know what I'm talking about. It's not the government that takes these calls. It's the bureaucracy. It's the whole lot of support structure that goes on. The think tanks and this and that and the other.
See, there are two ways to distribute wealth. One is that you build the overall infrastructure up so that everybody gets a beneficiary. But there are limitations to that, especially in a country like India. The southern part of India is a lot more educated than the northern part, especially in technical education. You have to make use of that. And what I think India may have missed the bus a little bit is when companies were leaving China, not everybody could go to Vietnam. Some needed the size and heft and the workforce of India to set up shop in India. Apple is one example. Samsung has come. A lot more Japanese could have come to India if there was a way that this process was streamlined. The bureaucracy still India is gets in its own way sometimes, and that part is something that needs to be really looked at. And this thing that only IAS officers should be running things, I don't buy that. Especially, I was very, very disappointed about the way even the Modi government went about appointing IAS officers to run SEBI or to run NSE. These people don't know. They really don't know what's going on. Even SBI, you need to have a proper banker. You need to have a proper technocrat. You need to
Yeah,
have the. They
I
don't do
also,
that. Yeah.
my question would also include the bureaucratic system within the West as well, which is as hardened and hard, stuck up as the Indian system as well. So how does that work? Because these two systems are, all the time going to be colliding.
So what happens is in the United States, when the new administration comes in, the president and its office has a lot of leeway in choosing the right agenda, driving the right issues, and the bureaucracy will give you some pushback. But if you are set on your course, they will do it. That is how the bureaucracy is trained. In India, also, it's the truth. The reason why it is not possible in India is the politicians themselves are compromised. So the bureaucrats know the chinks in the armor of the politician, and that's why they can get away with it. Sometimes covertly, sometimes overtly. This is where the problem comes. If India has succeeded in the last 8 9 years, it is because probably, I'm not saying I know this for a fact or not, Modi is probably less corrupt than others, and that has helped India. And if you get to the next level, you need somebody even less corrupt, even less question marks about the way he has conducted himself. Right? So that is the way you keep building this pressure. At some point, the floodgates are going to open, Adi. India will just boom, zoom forward, zoom forward.
On that note, sir, thank you so much for joining me. And it's interesting to hear the perspective of someone sitting in, especially in America, because uh, uh, no matter what you say, decoupling from this and that and the other, de-dollarization, people talk about. Oh no, we will stand on our own. We don't need the West and this and that. Well, this all the structure of the world economy is currently in the Western hands. Till the time there is an alternative created, uh, you still got to work with that same setup and the same people. So that's something that we need to realize, and we need to work that to our advantage, as you very rightly brought out, sir. I'd
Yes,
like to
yes.
thank you for that, because at the end of it, it's always India first. If the US does certain things, even attack countries because it's in their national interest, so should it be here. And now, slowly, I guess this whole national interest story has gained some traction, especially with Mr. Jaishankar going out and putting that word across in the world. So that's something which is very good, and I hope what you
He's
spoke
playing on the
about.
front foot.
Yeah, he's playing on the front foot. Absolutely, sir. That can only happen if he's got strength at home, sir. So there's that innate little strength which is also building up,
Yeah.
which is interesting, sir. So,
Thank
sir,
you so
thank
much, Adi. Yeah.
you, and it'll be great to sometime host you again for another interesting subject where we can learn a little more about world politics. Thank you so much, sir,
That would be
and
my pleasure. That would be my pleasure. Adi, I have to tell you one leaving parting thought.
please.
In 2019, I think 2018, Deepavali, then the elections happened within 6 months in United Kingdom. And no, no, it is 2019. I'm sorry, after August 2019. 3 months later, the elections happened in UK. The Labour Party was getting ready for the elections. And
Hmm.
after the Article 370 was abrogated, they said that if we are elected to power, we will drag Kashmir back through the UN Security Council. They made that as an election promise. And the Indian consulate did nothing. I had Pandit Satish Kumar Sharma on my channel. We both said, look, it's time you started thinking about, batting for yourself. How dare Labour Party make this as their key points for coming to power, and you are inviting them to all these Deepavali events? What's wrong with you guys? You know what happened? The commissioner got kicked out. September 2019, exactly. Now I remember. Why I know it's important. Modi was in UN General Assembly. He was in United States, and we are firing at the Minister of External Affairs, Subramaniam Jayashankar. You're doing nothing. You know what they did? They moved out the British Indian High Commissioner to Britain, got in a much more proactive person, and they rescinded all the invitations that were given to Labour Party, because in UK they have a lot of Diwali parties, Dashera parties, this, that, and so on and so forth. Every one of them was rescinded. In fact, I have videos where the Labour Party still wanted to go for the party in my individual capacity, and they were told politely to turn them away. No. So far, you've been always coming in as a Labour Party representative, and I'm sorry, we cannot let you in this time, because the Labour Party had to be taught a lesson. That is the kind of stuff that we pushed hard. I know we pushed hard, but you know what happened? The Indian British Hindus, British Indians understood that if they don't vote conservative, they are going to be in deep dodo because of that one resolution that Labour Party did. Many British Indians of the Labour Party themselves said this is wrong. The guy who moved it was a Pakistani British MP, and he said 90,000 Kashmiri women have been raped by the soldiers in Kashmir post 370. He claimed that there were lots of riots. Just one thing, because the MP was saying it, the party just swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. But what I'm saying is that's where the front foot batting started from there on, and I'm happy that he continues to be on the front foot. Once in a while, he'll get a googly like Qatar, but other than that, I think he's okay.
It's okay, sir. I mean, you gotta play by the moment as well, and it's not. Qatar is to me very insignificant. It's a tiny little place with more dependency on us rather than us having on them. So it's okay. Sometimes these guys will flare up and say something. You gotta take it. Take one on the chest as well. चल ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, मान लिया, खुश हो गया, so be happy.
बाद में देखा जाएगा.
बाद में देखते हैं तेरे को. So yeah, those are also, I agree with you. I mean, the front foot batting has to be done, and that's something which also builds confidence back home. When you, because nobody wants to fight. I don't think in India anybody wants to fight with the West, and we want to cooperate, we want to coordinate, and we want to grow together. But back home, we kind of, it does create an impact, and that's something that I've realized, that since the time that hit out has happened, and especially I would say the Russia-Ukraine war is one of the biggest examples where India just pushed back and
Right,
said,
right,
enough, don't bring this to
right,
us.
right, right,
So,
right, right.
and it worked. It worked. It did work, sir. Thank you so much, sir. As
Thank you so
always,
much, Adi.
you. Jai Hind, sir.
Jai Hind.